Hey everybody, today we're going to take an updated 2024 US Senate prediction for the month of August. I last did this 3 months ago, and there's not going to be many changes at all, but we're still going to go through the map and see where things are at. We're still way over a year out for the general election. We're not even close to the primaries yet, so I'm going to take a cautious approach as we go through the states. Republicans, of course, looking for at least one flip for a 50-50 Senate split and two for an outright majority. And we'll go west coast to east, and we'll start with the safe states for the Democrats. These are over a 10-point margin. First, we've got Hawaii, Washington, California, New Mexico. I had that previously as likely for the Democrats. Martin Heinrich seems to be a strong incumbent. Republicans don't really seem to have anything going. Does not seem like it will be competitive. We're going to move that into the safe column. Next state, Minnesota. Seems likely that Amy Klobuchar would win that by over 10. Now we go to the east coast. New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Delaware, and Maryland. Those are all safe. The closest of those to go down to likely would be New Jersey with Bob Menendez, but this far out, we're going to leave it as safe. And then we also have Vermont and Maine, Bernie Sanders and Angus King, both technically independents, but we're going to color those blue. Now the safe states for the Republicans. We've got Utah. Mitt Romney could very well face a primary challenge if he runs, but in the end, I think the general election is likely to be over 10 points. Next, we've got Wyoming, North Dakota, Nebraska, the Nebraska Special, Missouri, Indiana, Tennessee, and Mississippi. Is there a possibility Missouri could get under 10 with Josh Hawley? Yeah, there's an outside chance. Could it get into single digits in Indiana, given that it's an open seat? There's also a chance of that happening. Right now, it looks like it's going to be Jim Banks. Democrats don't have much of a bench in Indiana. So those are all the states that are very likely to stay with one party or the other. Now let's go down to the likely states. These are going to be between 5 and 10 point margins. For the Democrats, we've got Pennsylvania. Bob Casey looks like he's going to coast to another re-election unless something dramatic happens. After the midterms here for the Republicans, it looks like they're going to have to regroup, and if they're going to run David McCormick, he's probably not going to get it done. But then again, I don't really think any Republican could beat Bob Casey. I would not be stunned if Casey wins by 10. A lot could happen between now and Election Day, but if it got down under 5, I think that would be surprising, so that is going to be likely. And then we have Virginia. I did a recent video on this. Tim Kaine, the Democrat, is likely to win re-election here. He's not going to win it by a massive 15-point margin, but there are Republicans lining up to challenge Kaine. Hung Kao is in the race. He could absolutely end up being the nominee. Kaine, similar to Bob Casey, is still going to be favored no matter who it is. If it's a good night for the Republicans, a strong national environment, I could see them getting it under 5. But as of now, that's pretty much the best case scenario. Now the likely states for the Republicans. First, we've got Texas. And this might be a controversial one. Some of you might say this should be lean, and it could get down to a lean. Democrats have a primary to get through. It could be Colin Allred, and Ted Cruz is clearly vulnerable. He did squeak by in the blue wave last time in 2018. Unless it's another big blue wave, I would think he could survive one more election, and I would think it would be over 5 at this point, so that's a reach target for the Democrats, but right now Ted Cruz does have a clear advantage. And the other likely state is going to be West Virginia. This would be a flip and a pickup for the Republicans, and of course this is Joe Manchin for the Democrats. Looks like he's going to be running up against Republican Governor Jim Justice. I don't think Manchin can get out of this one. The trends of the state have just passed him by, plus Manchin is already in his 70s. He should just easily retire unless something dramatic happens where it's not Jim Justice and Joe Manchin's popularity soars. It would seem like the Republicans are going to be able to pick this one up. Now let's go down to the lean states. First for the Democrats, we've got Nevada. Jackie Rosen, she's vulnerable. All the focus is going to be on the Republican side. We don't really know who it's going to be yet, so we've got to start Rosen out with a small advantage. Next door, we've got Arizona. This is a fascinating race. We don't know if Sinema is going to run again as an independent. Either way, we've got Ruben Gallego. He's waiting for the Democrats. And then on the Republican side, it could be chaos all over again. We got to see if Kerry Lake or Blake Masters is going to run again. So this is a potential pickup for the Republicans. But as of right now, due to the unknowns, we're going to put this as a small lean toward the Democrats. The next state is Wisconsin. And this is another potential pickup for the Republicans, although incumbent Tammy Baldwin, she's going to start out with a clear advantage. We don't know who the Republican nominee is going to be. If it ends up being David Clark, then this is easily going to be likely for the Democrats. If it's Republican Tom Tiffany and a red-leaning national environment, then this could be a very competitive race. Next door, we also have Michigan. I just covered this recently. This is an open seat, but it looks like it's going to be Alyssa Slotkin for the Democrats. Republicans, their bench has been depleted here. They've got to get some type of top-tier candidate. We'll see who it's going to be. Right now, Democrats have the advantage. Now the lean seats for the Republicans. There's only one, and I know this one is controversial. I have Rick Scott in Florida. I know a lot of people think this should be likely, possibly even safe, and it's very close to likely. I just want some more time to go by, and I want to see what the field looks looks like for the Democrats. Looks like we might have Alan Grayson entering this race, and I get it. The Republicans had a phenomenal midterm here, and that's why Scott is going to start out with an advantage. And I know Rick Scott has won some narrow races before, but I'm just not sold on Scott being unbeatable, so I am going to leave it at leans for now. Last, we've got the tilt states. There's two of them. First, Montana. That's going to be tilt for the Democrats. I haven't made any changes here. Jon Tester, he's sort of like Rick Scott. He's won narrow races. It is possible he could do it again, but this is a fairly red state on a presidential level. Republicans don't have the greatest bench here. If they're going to rerun Matt Rosendale, I don't know if he's going to be able to beat Tester, but it looks like Tim Sheehy, he's the one racking up all the endorsements, and even though his name recognition is going to be much lower, that could change over the coming months, and Sheehy could emerge as the clear frontrunner. I don't know how that race would go, so out of caution, I'm going to leave this as a tilt for Tester. And the last state is Ohio, and this is going to be another controversial one, but I'm not going to make any change from where I left it 3 months ago, and that's going to be a tilt for the Democrat Sherrod Brown. Now again, this is just because it's so far out. Brown is the incumbent, and Republicans have to get through a primary and coalesce around a nominee. Now the polling we've seen out of Ohio does show Brown only in the low to mid 40s. That is a bad sign this far out with no real Republican opposition. And the state is trended clearly toward the right. Brown is kind of the last Democrat hanging on, but I could easily see him out of there this time. But let's go through the rest of this year. We'll see how things happen with the Republicans. But right now that would result in a 50-50 tie in the Senate. So there's definitely some question marks. Republicans do have some more opportunities to expand in Montana and Ohio, possibly Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin. Democrats have an outside chance in Texas and Florida, and Republicans only need one more flip after West Virginia. It's way too early to say with any confidence what's going to happen, but as of right now, I'm looking at a 50-50 Senate split, and this is likely going to be the floor for the Republicans. I think they could really only go up 1 or 2 seats from this point. So this is just what I think. Let me know in the comments, how does your map look? Are you taking a cautious approach this far out, or do you have some bold takes on these states? Let me know down below, and on your way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.